Abductions by fake Uber drivers. How can you stop it from happening to you? Let's talk about it. There's been a series of stories that have broken recently, and the most recent one that I read about happened way back in July. And I wondered to myself, why is it taking so long for us to hear about this, at least on a national level? What I'm referring to is an incident that happened in mid-July in Las Vegas. And here's the upshot. The woman was picked up. She sent out her Uber request, and she got the indication that your car is arriving. So she went down to the valet area of the hotel casino where she was. I'm not going to mention the name because I think it's irrelevant. And she went up to a car that presumably had some kind of Uber markings on it, opened the door and said, "Are you here for Liz?" And the driver said, "Yeah, get in." So she got in, they're driving, and she gets a call from her Uber driver, her real Uber driver. Wants to know where she is. Shock and panic sets in as this woman realizes she's in the wrong car. Now, the first thing I'm thinking is, why are you shocked and panicked? Because my first impression, my first thought would be, oh geez, I got in the wrong car. This guy's taking me to somebody else's place. That would be the first thing I would think about. And it's not that I question people, but there are little things in news stories that just make me wonder. And in any case, things got worse. She started, I guess she didn't text, she did something on social media, which was strange to me, why you wouldn't just, ask to pull over and call 911. But apparently, she did ask to be pulled over. As best as I can tell, the story doesn't explicitly say that, and was refused. But she did say she tried to take a picture of the driver. Her flash went off. This sounds, if it wasn't such a serious thing, it sounds like something that would be happening to, Steve Carell or something. He tries to surreptitiously take a picture and the flash goes off, right? But apparently this was a very serious thing. He got angry, he got upset, he started yelling at her. He said, "Give me your phone, give me your wallet." She said she threw the wallet at him, did not give him the phone, but she said she opened the car door and jumped out. In the process, received a head injury, broke some bones in her wrist and hand, if I recall correctly. And then she said the police were not very helpful. She said the police started questioning her. Why are you out so late? Why are you alone? I think that is kind of peculiar when police start interrogating the victim. However, we have to remember we're only hearing one side of this story. I think the important part of this video that I wanted to discuss was, how can we keep ourselves safe from the rider side? There's some really, really super simple things that you can do. Number one, check and see if the make, model, and most importantly, license plate of the vehicle that shows up in the app is the one you're getting into. Now, I have had that happen before, and I made a video on that once when, I was in Florida, and my driver came, and he knew me. "Are you Mark? I'm so-and-so." It was a profile, but it had a different license plate, different car. So those are things you have to be careful about. If you are feeling at all uncomfortable, don't get in that car. The first thing you do is check the driver, check the vehicle, check the license plate. That's number one. The second thing you do is don't go up and say, "Hey, is this a car for Mark?" No, ask him, "Which rider are you looking for?" And let them tell you. Then if he says to me, "Oh, I'm waiting for Mark," I know it's my ride. Now, had she done those two things, she probably could have avoided being put in this situation. The third thing I'm going to tell you is trust your gut. And this is a real important one, and it's one that we are really kind of discouraged from doing in today's society for fear of being labeled, oh my goodness, I'm not being fair to this person or that person. Your safety comes above being politically correct. If for any reason you feel uncomfortable, I don't care if you're a woman, you look at me and say, I don't like middle-aged bald guys. I might say, oh my goodness, you're prejudiced against me. You know what? Your safety comes first. And I know this is going to be an extremely, extremely unpopular comment for me to make, but you have to trust your gut. If you walk up and there is something that you can't put your finger on it, but you just don't feel comfortable with something about that ride, whether it's the look of the vehicle, the cleanliness, the driver, the attitude, a crazed look in someone's eye, I don't care what it is. Trust your instinct. It's really easy to push cancel and request another ride. So in the end, it really is about keeping safe. Although overall, Uber and Lyft rideshare is very safe. It's every bit as safe as certainly a taxi statistically. However, that doesn't mean that we should throw caution to the wind and just trust the platform arbitrarily. We must still use our own discretion. We must still look out for ourselves. You are responsible for your own safety. Now, yeah, you can say, well, isn't Uber supposed to be responsible? Sure, companies do have a certain degree of responsibility when it comes to things of that nature. But in the end, we all have to look out for ourselves. We can't rely on other people to look out for us. And, I've talked to riders, and I said, hey, the safest thing to do is don't drive after midnight. Don't drive after the bar hours. Of course, that means it's going to be less profitable too, but it's one of the safest things that we can do as drivers is drive during safe times, well-lit areas, people that haven't been drinking are not intoxicated by drugs or alcohol. And, that's not to say you shouldn't work those midnight hours, just realize there's a higher risk. Well, it's the same thing if you're a rider. There are sometimes higher risks. And right now, there seems to be a rash. When I say a rash, again, it's a minuscule number compared to the whole number of drivers and rideshare out there. But we're hearing about it more and more where people are posing as Uber drivers. It's really easy to put a sign in your car that says Uber and then go to a highly populated area and pick somebody up. A week or two ago, I was sharing a story where I dropped someone off early morning and someone came up to me and said, oh, I only have cash. Could you give me a ride? And I turned them down. And one or two people that commented said, oh, Mark, why are you so high and mighty, Mr. Noble? What's wrong with just giving someone a ride for cash? Turn off your app and give them a ride. Safety is what's wrong with it. Because someone now gets in that car and there is no record at all. They're not using the app. We have no idea who they are. If something goes wrong, we have no way to try to track them, to trace them. Now, I know you're going to say, well, people can, get on the app without a lot of background anyways. It's true, but there's something. At least there is some record, and you can trace cell phones and different things of that nature. But when someone gets in my car as a, I don't know if you want to call it illegal, I guess there's nothing really illegal about it, but an unregistered rider, an unauthorized rider, and it may very well be illegal if I'm conducting a taxi service without proper license. But I am really putting myself at risk. So I am going to encourage you to look out for number one. Who is number one? Number one is you. Look out for number one. Make sure when there's cars pulling up that it has a license plate, the make, model, the driver. Do not go up and volunteer information. Ask them for information. Or wait until they ask you, are you Liz? Something along those lines. And you're going to be far safer. And don't forget, trust that gut. Right, wrong? Let me know. Leave your opinion down below. As always, I love it when you opine. when you share and like the videos, and if you haven't already, especially when you subscribe. I'm Mark with Uber Hints.